Okay, thanks for coming though. If there's any questions, just let me know along the way, and we'll just get started. Now this year, we're gonna have a new trainer, and I don't know if some of you guys have probably met her already. She's gonna be in Washburn 3 days a week, which is really helpful. Her name is Lacey, and her phone number's there. And like she said, is take the phone number down, and if you have any questions, call her. She'll pretty much answer anytime. Also, she's really good because she can also do referrals. So you don't have to, if there's some issue with, let's say, a knee or ankle or something like that, you don't have to go to a doctor and then get a referral to a specialist. She's able to do that. And then also she's able to do things like, she helps any students that might have an issue with their knee or ankle, and she's helps rehabilitate as well. So she does cupping, but all those things, they'll make sure that they get permission from the parents first. So any questions about that? For the most part, she will be at all the football games. She'll also be located in the corner of the gym most of the time. And again, it should be about Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I think is going to be when she's here. And if there's issues at all, make sure your child sees her, because we have her up here for a few hours each one of those days. And they've been really taking advantage of getting in there and getting a little bit better with some of the injuries. Some things new that we're doing. We're going to start doing a 3-sport athlete award for 9 through 12. So what that means is if someone goes out for a sport in the fall, goes out for a sport in the winter, goes out for a sport in the spring, they would get a 3-sport athlete award. Okay? We'll have a special presentation in the spring for that. The only thing you have to do in this is you have to just make sure you're in good standing. So in other words, you can't get picked up for any violations or anything like that during the year. But I thought this would be kind of a nice thing to get more kids involved. And you can kind of see some of the other things here. But we're going to want to make sure that we really have a special presentation in spring, and we'll invite the parents to come in as well for that as well. Now again, this doesn't mean, you don't have to be a starter, you don't have to be, the only thing you can't do is you can't use a dual sport in the fall, let's say, and then don't do anything in the winter and think that you can count that as 2. That would still only count as 1. You have to go out for 1 in each season. Does that make sense? And then the other thing we're going to do is we're going to do the Elite Athlete Award. And we're going to have to look back to make sure that we figure this out. But 9 through 12, if your child goes out for 3 sports in 9th grade, 10th grade, 11th grade, 12th grade, and they're in good standing, they would also get an Elite Athlete Award, obviously as a senior. And again, that'll be a presentation in the spring, same period of time as this. We'll have to look back. We're going to start it this year. So the seniors that are coming up this year have an opportunity to get that this year. Any questions about that? And we're going to try to make it as late in the year as possible, just because we want to make sure that it's towards the end of the school year so something crazy doesn't happen and we give them an award and then they quit or something. Yeah. Okay. Then we're also going to do the same thing for all of our activities as well. So for example, speech, drama, music, those type of things. If you go out for all 3 of those, there'll be an award for that as well. Okay, give grades. So now what we're talking about here is, this year was kind of crazy. We ended up having a lot of situations that, and I realize people get a little bit unhappy at times and this and that, but we really have to make sure that we understand that a lot of times the coaches are doing the best that they can, and maybe just take a step back. And we always say, the 24-hour rule. And how many people watched that video that we had online? We're going to show it as well, but if you've already watched it at the end, then you can leave early. Or if you plan on watching it when you get home, you can leave early. But we want to make sure that we try to treat everybody with respect. If you want to speak with a coach, at any point you can speak with a coach if you just have a question or something. But if you're upset, take a step back. Make sure that you understand that, they've got family, they're in situations as well that that you don't want to put them or their children or wife in that situation, or husband. There are times when situations have been brought to my attention that the parent is 100% right, 100% right. And there are situations where you bring that to our attention and we're like, oh shoot, we goofed up there. Okay, and those type of things we want to know about. But some of those things where we're just kind of enabling our kids because we're just kind of upset about something at the moment, try to give the coach some grace on that situation. Any questions about that? Now, chain of command. This is what we really like to do. If you're upset about something, now again, if you're just wanting to ask the coach a question or ask me a question, do that anytime. Okay? But if you're upset about something, take 24 hours, 48 hours, let it go for a little while, and then talk to your child about it, and have your child go and talk to the coach first. And a lot of times I'm the same way. We want to protect our kids. We want to make sure that we help them out in this and that. But sometimes we're not helping them out if we take charge of things that they should be taking charge of. So have your child talk to the coach. If it doesn't work out under very rare situations, then go talk to the coach. If it still isn't a situation where you feel right about it, then you can come and talk to me. Then obviously you have the principal and superintendent after that, but don't skip steps, okay? Again, if you have a question about anything, you can come and talk to me anytime. You don't have to go through those steps. But I'm just saying, if you're upset about something, you feel like you want to strangle somebody, take it easy, okay? And the thing is, there's no difference between you and me. I have the same emotions. There's times when I'm like, oh my goodness, what are we doing? And I understand you get frustrated at times. One thing about it is at the bottom there, the school board is not part of the chain of command. And what we mean by that is, if you're upset about something, especially when it comes to playing time and things like that, that's not one of those things we go to. They think about big issues. You know what I mean? They're not worried about, my child's playing time. And that's the way it should be. Any questions? And then I put this in there on this is this who we are? And again, we always have some situations, and I've done the same thing, but these are just some of the situations we've had this year, not last year, but this year. We had anonymous letters. We had parents running to the defense of their kids, even though they were obviously did something they shouldn't do. Trying to affect the coaches' out-of-school jobs. They weren't even teachers. Screaming at kids from the sidelines, not their own kids, which shouldn't do that either, but screaming at other people's kids. Isolating individuals. They get upset, so they're going to not talk to the coach, which isn't always bad, their family or their kids. And their kids do the same thing to these coaches' kids. That's not right. And just think about what we're teaching our kids. Yelling at the coaches from the sideline. Swearing at the coaches after games. That was a grandma. Okay? Personally attacking coaches and their families. Swearing in the hallways about coaches. Online attacks. And again, this is all this year. And you think about it, you look at that. And even the people that might have done some of these things, and again, none of us are going to be saints, but even the people that have done some of these things, they got to look at that later on and go, man, and just think about it. There's times when that parent could be 100% right. But is that the way to do it? That's what I'm saying. And like this year, we had a lot of trouble finding coaches. We really did. And it's one of those situations where they hear, man, I don't want people to turn on me. So they might not be perfect. And again, they're not all the time. I wasn't when I was coaching. I coached for 30 years. And we had a lot of success. We did a lot of great things. But there's 100 mistakes I made too. But they're trying to do the best they can. What we should expect, and this is talking about our coaches. We want our coaches to teach and model how a great teammate is every day. We got to get away from, in our team, we got to get away from the cliques. We got to get more into, hey, you're a teammate of mine, not concerned what position you're playing or anything else, but you're my teammate, I'm going to take care of you. Positive talk and energy, not only from the coaches, but the teammates. And I talked to the coaches about this as well. What a great world this would be is if at practice, all the kids were bringing each other up. Great job. And some of the sports do a great job at that. You know, we talked about this in our coaches meeting. You know, and we used to do that when I was coaching, where you would end up having an award after, let's say, the first break, and the assistant coach would keep track of how many positive things the kids would say to each other. And obviously, by the time they left, it's really hard to have have a bad practice when everybody's saying positive things to you. Does that mean the coach is always going to be positive? No. But really, the kids should be. They're not coaching. The kids should be positive to each other. Reward work ethic and competitiveness. And also, we should be developing character and making people better people. But we also have to be allowed to do that. Athletes being ready as possible for the next step as well. So in other words, if they're 8th grade, being as ready as possible for freshmen, whatever sport you might be talking about. Teach eager learners. Teach them to make eye contact when you're speaking to them. All those things are good things when it comes down to jobs or anything else as well. Education-based athletes. And what it should be is, all of these things, sports should be an extension of the classroom. If you can't do it in the classroom, you shouldn't be doing it in sports. And these are some of the things that we should be developing in sports. And is this going to be covered every single practice? No. But we should have a goal of trying to make not only ourselves, but the kids better each day as far as their character. Did you notice one of them down here is relationships? Okay. And what we're talking about that is being able to deal with your coach. Might not always be easy, but also with each other as well as within the team. Sportsmanship, acting in an appropriate manner. Also some objectives. Obviously, these are all things we want to be better. Fitness. It's not just about winning games, but also a value of participation. It can't be just about the elite person. It can't be about just your quarterback or, let's say, your leading scorer. It should be about everybody on the team. And everybody should be valued. And then the last one here is some of the benefits. And notice that second to last one. Develop. And this is the coaches should help, and the parents can help as well. But develop next level humans, not next level athletes. So yeah, we want to be as good as possible. Some of it's on them. They have to actually work at it. But also the kids, we should be developing them to make sure that they do as best they can as far as representing Washburn, representing Southern McLean. Food for thought. And again, I don't mean to be preachy and this and that, but we just have to try to all be, and myself as well. We have to be better. Please let the coach your child during the game. Will they do everything right? No. Is there going to have to be some adjustments along the way? Yes. If there's something that's really a situation that needs to be addressed, we need to know about it. Okay, but some things we do need to let go. We can all learn to bite our tongue, and that's, I guess, we just said it as far as letting things go. It's so easy just to say something to spur the moment. That grandma that yelled at the coach and swore at him, I guarantee you she probably felt bad later on. If she just would have bit her tongue. It sure would have been nice. And just imagine that coach went home and probably dwelled on it for several days. And it probably affected their family. Support the coach. That doesn't mean you have to like him or her. Okay, you don't have to agree with them. But just support them, because I guarantee you if you support that coach, your child will have a much better attitude and a much better situation. The moment your child comes home and complains about something, listen to them. But then, let them work through it sometimes. Cheer on the whole team, not just your child. Okay, when you cheer on the whole team, no matter who it is, and I know there's several sports that do a great job with this. Cross country does a great job. Track does a great job. Others do a very good job as well. Okay, but it's so much more fun when you're cheering everybody. It also reinforces sportsmanship for your child, letting them know that everybody's important. And it takes a team to do this, and this is what it's about. Sympathy groups. This is kind of the newest thing. I don't know, when I started coaching 30 years ago, we had this so much. But in communities, you have parents and fans who gather to complain about the coach or situations, about the ref, the team, parents. And these sympathy groups foster negativity and don't offer any solutions. They just make them feel better just for the moment because somebody agrees with me. They're miserable too, believe it or not. You know? So we have to try to stay away from that. How about get together and say something positive? You know what really is a bad deal is when a kid leaves the gym or the field or the track, whatever it might be, and three people, someone says, good job, good job, good job. And then the fourth person walks by and nobody says anything to them. Can you imagine? So just think about that along the way as well. We can be better. Parent role. And again, I'm not here to preach. Hopefully we can just help become better. You know, we're getting kind of a history. We're getting kind of in a situation where people are starting to think that we're a little out of control. We need to focus on the child's character. Don't worry so much about the outcome. Focus on their character. If they're doing as well as they possibly can, if they're a great kid, you've done great. Focus on being a supportive, encouraging parent. When they go home, don't tell them all the things that they did wrong. Honestly, in basketball, I coached for years and years and years. I never say a word to Parker unless he asks me. I never do. I got a lot of things I could say, but I don't. You know, and that's the thing is, and you're going to parent different than me, and I'm not telling you how to parent, but just try to be supportive and loving to them. What is needed? Well, that's what we're here for. You did the physical. You need to get those turned out, and if you haven't, before the first practice. Signed code of conduct, you have that, and handbook. Sanford Care Release, that's up in the front too. And then obviously a parent meeting. And if I have a sheet of paper up there, if everybody could sign that before we leave, just so I don't forget somebody.
I think it's right here.
Okay. Rules. Attendance day of and day after the game. We do a great job of our kids coming to school the day of the game. The day after the game, maybe not so much. And I know it's hard sometimes. Okay, but try to get your kids to school the day after the games too. Now, you might say to yourself, what happens on the day of a game if my kid has a funeral, a doctor's appointment, and they miss school? Can they not play or participate? No, they can. You have to make sure that you let myself or the office know well in advance, and we'll ask probably for a signed, little letter or something saying that this is what's happening, and it'll be fine. They'll be able to play. Academic eligibility starts at about 4 weeks after school starts, and it goes from Wednesday to Wednesday. Okay, so they'd be ineligible for 1 week if they fall below there. Travel, they're expected to travel to and from events. They can't travel with anybody but you. But, let's say grandma is going to the game and you can't make it to the game. If you let myself or the office know and give us a note the day before, then it's absolutely fine. We just want to get away from our coaches being bombarded by 54 people saying they're going with 900 different people. So we're just trying to make it a little more streamlined. Okay, and these are just things like, for example, we just want to dress nice. We're getting new uniforms from many of our different teams, but we don't want anything to take away from that. Remember, for Rough Riders, we're gold, black, white, and gray, not pink. Okay, unless it's something special like cancer awareness, then we're all in. Cardinals, cardinal, white, gray, black. Make sure that we're following High School Activity Association rules and dressing nicely. Now this is something, playing on an outside a team. Let's say that I'm a volleyball player, and during the season, I go and play in an outlaw volleyball tournament, AAU, whatever it might be, any type of tournament like that. That would make myself ineligible. So make sure in season your child doesn't go play in that same sport in another team. Does that make sense? Because that would make them ineligible to play that. So can they go then if you get permission from the coach to go play a different sport? 100%. Okay, cannot play the same sport on a different team during your school season. Am I saying? Does that make sense? Family vacations, and I realize things come up. You know, I've got schedules and this and that, and if you ever need a schedule, let me know. But if you could possibly just plan around your family vacations and things like that, look at the schedule and maybe just move it around a little bit, because we have a team that's relying on you, especially in team sports. And if all of a sudden a few people take off, that schedule's history. we gotta play the games. So it's really important that we have people there that signed up and that took responsibility for playing, because you can't let your team down. Now, I realize things come up and you're gonna miss here and there, but try to do the best we can. Communication, all of our coaches should have some sort of communication, whether it's from mine, GroupMe, or whatever else. Just ask your child or ask the coach.